Well, welcome to Sty Times. Here we are again. Oh my gosh. Can't believe 70 episodes. Wow. On we go. We just keep on a going. Um, yeah, yeah. And I have to say, I don't believe that Sty Times has been a mistake. If it was, I'd admit it. Yeah. Hey, I'm going to shout out the few folks that are over there in the chat already. Metal Music Maniac come in right away, and there's everything spicy in the man Keeney. He's out there to impress today. Um, West Haven always and forever. Oh, it's great to see you. It's been a while. It is great to see you. And there's Cindaloo. Awesome. Awesome. Great to see all you folks out there in the chat. Excuse me. Um, I hope you're all having a good Friday. I do have to admit, it's been a fairly good Friday for me. However, we got some odd weather up here in northern Wisconsin, right off of Lake Superior. I mean, I'm only about 5 city blocks away from Lake Superior. And about every 20 minutes, 20 to 30 minutes, my phone goes off with another gale warning. We have real light snow. Now it's clearing up a bit, on and off, light dusting of snow, right? Problem is, we've got 35 to 45 mile an hour gale winds, and they kick up about every half hour, and they'll blow for about 10, 15 minutes, and then it dies back down. It'll be calm. You look out there and you go, wow, nice calm day. And then all of a sudden a warning will go off on that phone, and I'll watch, and within 5 minutes, here it goes. And it'll be a complete whiteout. You can't see. It's only maybe 45 feet to the street from the front of our house. And I can't see the street when that wind starts blowing. It's that strong of a wind. It picks all that loose snow up, and it's a total whiteout. So it's not a mistake, but I will admit, I ain't going out there. I went out there once today to check the mail. I stepped out the door. Everything is calm. Stepped out the door. No more than got the key in the mailbox. Started turning that key, and that wind hit. And I had to hang out of the mailbox. It was blowing that hard. And that told me, yeah, what did I have in the mail? A local store flyer, junk mail. It wasn't worth going out for. Well, that's the way it is. The Justin Anderson just come in the house. It is great to see you, Justin. The topic today, admit our mistakes. This is a conversation I've had so many times with folks, and it plays along with and kind of goes with with the whole blame thing. I did a Sty Times on blame, quit blaming others, I think was the title of it. But admitting our mistakes goes along with the whole blame game thing quite a bit. Admitting our mistakes, there's a lot of small little things that happen, little mistakes we make and stuff. It's so easy to admit to them. Oh, oops, my mistake. And then there's other mistakes where it's like, oh man, I don't want to admit to doing something so stupid. If you get my drift, and we're just going to have fun with this topic now. Okay, this isn't to tag people for making mistakes in their lives, because oh my gosh, you could spend days in a conversation about all of the mistakes people have made in their lives, right? Now, there's a lot of times people say, boy, was that a mistake that he made? Well, now, first of all, you got to be careful and you got to make sure, in order to be a mistake, you had to have had no intent in it whatsoever. It has to be something you did, just an innocent mistake. I mean, oops. It's a oops thing. And if you've planned something that's and you've made a conscious choice to do something with an intent, well, that's not a mistake. You planned on doing that. It's when you haven't planned on something and you just goofed it up. That's a mistake. But a lot of people want to take mistakes, something that we're just so innocent about, and they want to put the thumb on you and it's, see what you did, dummy? Boy, did you screw up, blah, blah, blah. And you go, whoa, it was just a mistake. I didn't want that to happen. I made a mistake. You're admitting to it. Well, that takes all the wind out of their sails. Now, I was taught that when I was a little kid, man. I was just a little tyke. My dad pounded that into me when I was growing up. Admit your mistakes, boy. Just admit them. And I kept saying, yeah, but Dad, sometimes they're really embarrassing. And he goes, but only for a little while if you admit it. Because the minute you admit your mistake, it's really nothing they can say other than, boy, that was a dumb mistake. And you could go, yeah, I admit it. It was me. Yeah, it was my mistake. It was my mistake doing something that someone else witnessed. Cindaloo, I love that. I was going to go down that road because my mother used that line on me once, and it was kind of funny. I got a kick out of it, actually, at the time. Cindaloo says, I was a mistake, Mom said, but it was the best mistake. Some mistakes are good. Now, I have to say, my youngest daughter, she was a mistake. She wasn't planned. She was a mistake. My oldest boy, he was a mistake. He wasn't. No, we didn't plan on having them. But both of them were pleasant mistakes. They were innocent mistakes because there was no intention. They were innocent mistakes. But fortunately, they had turned out to be pleasant mistakes. And that's the thing, is some mistakes turn out to be, oh boy, that ain't good. Other mistakes, it's like, well, I'm glad I made that mistake. Now, right from the get-go, at the beginning of me posting the show, I had Metal Music Maniac put the comment in there, admit our mistakes. Telling the person in line at a store, gas station, whatever, you could go before me, and they buy a lottery ticket, and you buy a lottery ticket after them. The person you let go in front of you wins $1,000 on his lottery ticket, and you only won $1. Well, admit your mistake. You shouldn't have told them to go ahead of you, right? Or you can turn that around and say, I'd try to catch the guy and say, hey, you're welcome. And if he said, for what? For me letting you go ahead of me, you got the next lottery ticket. I got the one right behind you, and you're the one that won. Ain't that cool? I done you a good turn, didn't I? Take some credit for that mistake. There you go. All of a sudden, a mistake seems to be like a blessing, because that's the way that fella's going to look at it. They're going to say, boy, I'm glad he made that mistake. Oh, my gosh, was that good for me? We like to take the misgivings of people and turn them into things that are bad. There's no drama. We got to have drama, you know. Oh, did you make a mistake? Oh, boy, what a mistake. And you go, oh, yeah, I admit it. That was me. That was me all over. I did it. Poof, took the wind out of their sails. Well, that ain't no fun. That ain't no fun at all. They want you to deny it. They want you to try to get out of that mistake somehow, because it keeps it interesting and makes it dramatic. But the minute you go, somebody goes, whoa, who did that? And you go, oops, that was me. I admit it. I'm the dummy that did that. Well, why'd you do that? And you go, I don't know. I just did something stupid and I admit it. And then they're at a loss. It's like, can't even make an issue out of it. He admitted it. That's no fun. That's no fun. If he would have denied it, I could have argued with him. Yeah. I got to shout out a couple of folks out there. The plain old Chuck comes in just as witty as can be. There he is out in the chat, and he says, I thought I made a mistake once, but I was wrong. Where's my glasses? They're sitting right here on the desk. I'm wearing shades today because I had all the windows open in the front of the house here, just kind of watching that weather, but all that bright snow and then the lights in the house. And I started developing a headache, and I thought, boy, for the show tonight, I got to look at that white screen of StreamYard. I hope they come up with dark background like Facebook and YouTube has, because that solid white screen is just so hard on the eyes. But I do love my new glasses. I have to admit, that was not a mistake ordering those new glasses. But the company I really had the highest hopes for, Zenni, I checked again today the tracking on that pair of glasses I ordered. And I ordered those glasses 4 days before I ordered my new ones that I've got. They said that the order was done, labeled, and it said waiting for postal pickup 3 days ago. And today it still says waiting for postal pickup. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. So I hope that wasn't a mistake. Kimberly Ferris is in the house. It's good to see you, Kimberly. No, I've had these shades. Well, they're not terribly new. I've had them for just about a month, a little over a month. This pair, yeah. I like them. They're really comfortable. Yeah. Yeah, admit our mistakes. That's even as a little kid, I can remember all the way back kindergarten. I was just a little 5-year-old kid, kindergarten. Boy, and our kindergarten teacher, she was kind of a mean thing. She shouldn't have been teaching kindergartners. But boy, when you got the Play-Doh to play with, right? She'd divvy out the Play-Doh to us kids, but each kid got only one color of Play-Doh. You couldn't mix those colors, man. And they had these big tubs of Play-Doh. Well, I've always been rebellious, you know. Heck no, I can't remember what I was making, but it can't be one color. So I went and I snatched a little from a kid across the aisle from me and across the other side, a little color from him. So I had like 4 from snatching from other people. I had like 4 colors I'm putting into my thing. And all the other kids are like, whoa, Sty, that's not good. That's not good. You're making a bad mistake. Well, end of class, time to put the Play-Doh back in the containers. Well, I picked them colors off and separated them the best I could, but the main thing I had made still had all those other colors kind of mixed it. So I'm mixing it. Hide those colors. Well, what it did was it changed the base color so it didn't match the other Play-Doh of that color in its own tub. Well, the teacher saw me put it in there, and she looked in there and she goes, "What did you do?" I said, "Oh, I'm sorry. I think I put it in the wrong tub. That's my mistake." Well, I learned in a hurry. Don't make the mistake of misstating what the original mistake was. The original mistake was me mixing colors. I didn't put it in the wrong tub. I should have never mixed colors in the first place. That was the first mistake. Second mistake was trying to cover it up. And that's what my pop and my mother tried to stress on me constantly is admit your mistakes, man. It gets rid of the issue if you'll just admit it. You might be embarrassed or you might get punished a little bit, but it's not going to be anything compared to if you play the game of wasn't me, wasn't my mistake. No. Because when it comes down to it, most of the time truth's going to come out. Then now they don't trust you because you knew it was your mistake and you were trying to cover it up. Wasn't I didn't do it. No, couldn't have been me. And then 3 people stepped forward and said, "Well, we were sitting right over there and we were watching you." And we said, "Oh, look at what he did." Uh-oh. Didn't know there were witnesses. I should have just fessed up to the mistake in the first place. They would have said I don't get to play with Play-Doh for a month. Now, that mean old teacher slapped the top of my hand with a ruler. Give you the old ruler spanking, you know. Because I lied. Why did you lie? That's your second mistake right there. One mistake, you might be a little embarrassed. 2 mistakes, you might be feeling it. The Ingalls family's in the house. It is great to see you. And I see Nemi Pun. Hey, Nemi, it's been a while. It is very good to see you. Very good to see you. Says, "Hey, I just stopped by for a second to say hi. Hope you're good, my friend. Been thinking of you these days." I think of you quite often, Nemi. I ask myself, what's Nemi up to? What's Nemi doing? Yeah. The there's a big time difference between where I am and Nemi, so I don't get to see Nemi often. It's good to see that you're there. I hope you're doing very well, Nemi. The but there's times when we make mistakes that are so, you almost have to classify it as that was a foolish mistake. All I had to do was think for a moment, and I would have never made that mistake. Instead, I just went headlong, didn't think about it, made a bad mistake. And if the mistake causes harm or damage to someone else or something else, now you got some guilt to feel over it. I mean, it's just like you got to live with that. I made a foolish, stupid mistake. And then somebody asks you, "Oh my gosh, did you hear about such?" And I wonder who caused that. And you know you did. So what do you do? What do you do? the To me, the rule of thumb is don't lie about it. Don't just come right out and lie about it. Maybe you have nothing to say. How do you make that judgment? Do I admit it or say nothing? Don't even get involved. Don't say a word. The only time I feel that it's all right to just not say a word is the fact that if you admit it, you're actually going to cause more harm than the mistake itself caused. And there are circumstances like that where some things are best just left and people just go, well, whatever, whoever did that, whatever happened, it happened, and we can get, yeah, we took care of it. It's all right. We can move along. Well, then maybe it's best that you just let it move along. But for most purposes, admitting your mistakes is actually to your benefit. One thing that admitting your mistakes does is that it builds confidence in other people, in you, oddly enough. I've had many people that worked under me where I was their immediate supervisor. I did the hiring, firing, and I was known for, if a person came to me and said, "Oh, Sty," and I worked in the area of finance, right? A person came to me and they go, "Sty, I'm sorry, man, I made a mistake. I transposed this number and it threw the accounts off." And I'd ask them, "Did you fix it? You found it, obviously. Did you fix it?" "Yeah, I had to get a little help, but I got it fixed and everything's right now." "Okay, cool. That's good." They admitted their mistake. They admitted they're taking responsibility for it. And they repaired any damage it caused. They walked out of my office and I go, "Oh, I knew I hired them for a good reason. They're a good, honest person. They're willing to admit their mistakes. And they're willing to take responsibility for their own actions. There's no discipline needed. There's no, I got to sit down and talk to you kind of thing going on. They were just being a person, just like any of the rest of us. We make mistakes. I think life would be pretty tough if we weren't allowed to make mistakes once in a while. I see Mr. Fulton's out there. It is very good to see you, Mr. Fulton. And yes, it is. Today is Samantha Lee's Original's birthday. Happy birthday, Samantha Lee. I'm pretty sure she's not watching right now because it's her birthday and I hope she's celebrating. I really do. One sweet gal, one wonderful, sweet person. The meeting Samantha Lee was not one of my mistakes. I've had people actually challenge me and say, I don't make mistakes. I make certain I don't make mistakes. I just, inside, I'm laughing. I'm going, if you truly believe yourself, boy, you're delusional. I mean, a person in this world has made a mistake. That's trying to tell me you're perfect. You're absolutely perfect. Now, I did have all right, I gotta go to this because Nemi Pun says out there in the chat, there are some people who are very strict about mistakes. They don't like them. Boy, bad, you're bad. I don't get that, in my opinion. In my opinion, mistakes are best for learning because you will remember that always. And that's it. That's where the term you will learn through trial and error. That means you're going to learn from hands-on, trying to do it yourself, and by making some mistakes along the way. Because those mistakes tell you what not to do in the future. That is so true. That is so true. If we didn't have mistakes in our lives, I don't think we would learn that well. Hey, Kathy Kahan's in the house. Good to see you. I look back on my life and I made a lot of mistakes that got a lot of people laughing. But then I made some mistakes that, would have brought a tear to your eye. I made some bad decisions, bad mistakes. And I have to say, true decisions aren't really mistakes because they are decisions. You're deciding something based on things you know, and you're pretty certain you're going to get the outcome you want out of that decision. Mistakes are random. They just happen. Samantha Lee, there she is. Happy birthday, everybody out there in the chat. Throw her some birthday cakes. Love you, girl. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. One of the best things that anybody can do in their lives is learn how to forgive other people's mistakes. And like I said, make sure they're mistakes. They're not intentional. They're not things they did intentionally, where they thought it through and then did it. Where it's something they randomly did without putting a lot of thought into it. And they go, oh no, the big oops moment. You want to feel good in life and you want to help somebody else feel a little bit better about themselves, forgive their mistake and say, that's all right. That's all right. I'm going to tell you about a mistake right after our break here that it was terrible, but it was funnier than sin. Mistakes can be fun also, So what we're going to do is we're at that half hour mark. I'm going to shout out my channel members. takes less than 50 seconds. Don't go anywhere. We're going to talk. Heading out of here now, that's going to be a big mistake. And I'll expect you to admit it. See you in a moment. So, well, I'll tell you what. Yeah. Hey, there's Peppers in Kentucky living. Great to see you. Out there shouting out happy birthday to Samantha. That's right. The the I'm gonna tell you a mistake that it's not that it was a bad thing, but timing and the situation made it bad for the person who made the mistake. There was this young couple, my ex-wife and I, and them were friends, and the fella, him and I, we went through grade school together, high school together, and I didn't know his wife until after they had gotten married, and here I find out that my ex-wife and this gal were I'm sitting here. I've got okay, never mind. It's been all taken care of. Samantha Lease, she's such an ace. She's okay, but Rebecca Felter just came into the house. That's great to see you, Rebecca. But so we were friends, and we would have barbecues together, have dinner at each other's homes, and blah, blah, blah. Well, they were a very young couple. Well, my ex-wife and I were very young at the time. But I had a lot of life's experiences already, and I'm just not a pat on the back because that's a sweet, sour situation. But I was quite mature for my age at the time. Well, this gal, her mother lived in Boston. We lived in central Minnesota at the time. She had not seen her mother in 5 years. And her mother didn't have the best relationship prior to those 5 years, but they started talking to each other on the phone. They got to re-know each other, and they really wanted to meet up. Well, her mother decided, I'm flying to Minnesota. I'm going to come and see you, right? She just happens to be showing up on her birthday, on her mother's birthday. Her mother's showing up there. She was so excited. I'm going to make my mother an awesome birthday cake. Now, this young gal, boy, could she make some awesome cakes. And Actually, that's what she did. She worked for a local bakery and she did custom cakes, wedding cakes, birthday cakes, blah, blah, blah. So she's all excited. She's going to make this cake. Well, she had just totally redesigned her kitchen. And she had bought all these new big crock containers for all of her baking fixings, flour, sugar, yeast, and this and that, and that, for her whole big kitchen she had in her house there. Well, she invited me and the ex-wife over to celebrate her mom's birthday and to meet her mother. We get there, and her mother seemed like quite the nice gal. Seemed pretty nice gal. Well, here comes this gal out of the kitchen with this beautiful, beautiful birthday cake. Everybody saying happy birthday, blah, blah, blah. And then she had her mother cut the cake, and her mother's cutting everybody a piece of cake, and everybody's sitting there, and everybody's being very polite. Now, there's about 8 of us there, being very polite. Let the birthday girl sit down with her piece of cake, and she gets to take first bite, compliment the cake. Then we'll all dig it, right? And we kind of pre-planned it that way. She took the first bite of that cake, and I could see a change in her expression. Wasn't dramatic, but I could see the change. She knew her daughter had made a mistake when she made that cake. She did her absolute best not to show it, but instead she told everybody else, well, it's my birthday. Aren't you guys going to enjoy my cake? Everybody started thinking, you never saw so much cake get spit back out on a plate. Her mother managed to swallow her bite. The rest of us spit it all out. She tasted hers. She dropped her fork and she ran in the kitchen. Well, she wasn't coming back out. She was so embarrassed. She didn't know how to deal with it. And her mother, believe it or not, went in there and told her, I need you to come back in the dining room and just admit your mistake. And you'll know everybody in that room that's truly your friend. And she did. She come out and she goes, folks, I totally remodeled the kitchen and I got all new containers for all the different ingredients I use throughout the kitchen. She said the sugar crock or container that she used to use was replaced with a new one. The old sugar container, she decided, I'm going to use that for salt. And she had filled it with salt. And when she made the cake, just out of habit, grabbed the old sugar container and instead of sugar, used several cups of salt. That was the nastiest tasting cake you ever tasted in your life. I'm telling you, it was bad. But she admitted her mistake, and everybody in the room started laughing, and they're telling her, don't be embarrassed, and they're sympathizing with her. And I don't know if she realized that. I hope she did. But for the longest time after that happened, people thought the world of her. That she had the backbone to just walk out and say, hey, you guys, I made a bad mistake. I did it. It's all me. This is what happened. That gave all of us a license then to make light of it. Her mother hadn't seen her in a little over 5 years. And their first reunion, she almost kills her mother, giving her straight salt cake. We thought it was going to be so tragic once we tasted it, spit it out, until we realized, no, her mother was the one that practiced immediately. Forgive somebody's mistakes. Don't intentionally use the fact that somebody's being human and making a simple mistake. Sorry, I had to take a look. I heard an odd noise. It's that wind out there. It sounded like somebody on the porch, but no, that's the wind. My mistake. But forgiving somebody's mistakes is it feels so good to be able to say, oh, no, it's a mistake. You made a mistake. That's all you did. And then you get people that, I don't know, have any of you experienced it? Seems like that's all they ever do is make a mistake. They really do. I mean, they'll make the same mistake 4 or 5 times. It's like they don't learn from their mistakes. They just keep making them. They're just like a mistake machine. And you know none of it's intentional because it just comes so natural for them to make mistakes. But they're the kind of people you don't want to put on a project, right? You find something so simple for them to do so that if they do make a mistake, it won't mess things up. Because you know them so well. They're going to make a mistake. I know they are. Those kind of people, I basically give them a blanket forgiveness. I forgive you, not for your mistakes. I forgive you for being you. Yeah. And then you have these people that insist things are mistakes, and they're not. Now that's where I should wrap the program up on is I'm all for admitting our mistakes. I don't have a problem with it. I have no problem. I've done, like I said, through my life, I've done so many things that were mistakes. And if somebody says, whoa, look at that. What happened to that? I'll go, that was me. I made a mistake and that's what happened. Yeah, I admit it. It's me. I was also one where people would go, such thing. How'd that happen? Who did that? And then they start pointing fingers at each other, blame it. And I'll go, whoa. I'll admit it. I learned to stop doing that. It was an old gal that told me one time, it's several years back. She told me, she said, I see that you have no problem with admitting that you won't admit intent because you didn't do it, but people are arguing over who did do something, and you'll admit to it, say, blame me. What the heck? I'll admit it. I'll take the blame. And she says, and I know darn well you didn't do it. You know yourself you didn't do it. And I'd say, yeah, but it put an end to the whole thing. Now they got someone to blame. Put an end to it. She goes, but it doesn't put an end to it. And I said, what do you mean it doesn't put an end to it? And she says to me, you lied to them. I go, say what? She goes, if you had made that mistake and they said you did it And you go, oh no, not me. I know I don't make mistakes. It had to have been them or it had been. She says, that's lying about it. Because you know you made that mistake, right? So you're putting it off on somebody else, or you're just saying, no, couldn't have been me. I was in Spain when that happened. She said, that's lying. She says, but if nobody's fessing up as to who made that mistake, nobody's willing to own it, and for you to put an end to it, you say, I'll admit it. I did. It's my mistake. My mistake. I'll own it. Just so people will move on and give it up. She said, you're no less of a liar than the person that tried to cover up what they actually did. That really stuck with me. And since then, I will not admit to a mistake that was not mine. I'll take ownership. If it's shown to be my mistake, I'll take ownership. I have no problem doing that. If I got blood in the game, you betcha. I'll admit it. But not anymore for the sake of peace will I lie to people and say I did something I didn't do. I was put in that position several times through my lifetime where I had to take a position that I was responsible for something that I was not responsible for. And I took the heat for it. I took that old nasty check mark on my reputation for it. But it put an end to the issue that was occurring at the time by me being able to just say, I did it. Fine. I'll admit it. I did it. But I didn't. But it put an end to the issue. It didn't put an end to the issue. If it popped up down the road at any time, I go, oh yeah, I didn't do it. Well, now they know. If you change your story, and all of a sudden, well, I admitted it, but I really didn't do it. I just did that to stop all the argument. Now, they don't look at you as being a good person for that. They look at you as, so you lied to us. And we still don't know whose responsibility it was. And that's the key. Admitting to your mistakes is taking responsibility for something you did. That's all it is. Yeah, I'm responsible. And if it's a mistake, and it's an honest mistake, why aren't you laughing about it? If it doesn't hurt a person, doesn't damage anything, there's no negative impact whatsoever, there's no lasting harm, why aren't we laughing about it? Laugh at your mistakes. I make mistakes all the time. I'm out in the woods, not paying attention, trip and fall. Happen to catch it on camera. Yeah. My mistake. I'll admit it. I crash and burn. I better laugh about it. Because it wasn't intended. Nemi Pun says, I feel like I needed to hear that. I am the same way. If people argue over something, I'll just take responsibility because I'm tired of hearing them argue. What I traded for that, and that's exactly why I would admit to something I didn't do just so they quit arguing. All of a sudden it takes all the wind out of their sails and everybody calms down, goes their separate ways, and they have a different thing to talk about now. Instead, I'll tell them flat out. You people, you keep arguing about this. Each one of you are making yourselves look guilty. I know it's one of you people. They always say the person that is the loudest about I didn't do it, you better take a closer look at him. So I think all of you need to stop arguing with each other because it's making you all look guilty. Just who got hurt by it? If nobody got hurt by it, drop it. Let's change the whole topic. Let's forget it. It was a mistake somebody made. Let it go. And let's move on. All right? It's hard to do sometimes. It's very hard to do sometimes. Especially when you got somebody that wants to get into an argument and then they decide they're going to be hurtful and say things they shouldn't say. Now that's a mistake. That's a mistake. Anytime we intentionally start saying hurtful things where you're going to injure somebody, it's no longer a mistake. It's just deep-rooted anger or spitefulness, or that's not making a mistake. That's intentionally trying to hurt somebody. That's just not good. So I look at it as don't ever let the mistakes in our lives turn into something serious, because mistakes are mistakes. Yes, Nemi saying one of the worst feelings also is being accused of something that you didn't do. And that's it. That goes back to my other show when I talked about the blame game, and somebody starts blaming you for something you had nothing to do with. It wasn't you. And I've been down that road. Oh boy, have I been down that road. I took one of my worst whippings as a kid because I was accused of something. Not only didn't I do it, but I was instrumental in stopping what had happened. But I got punished. And it almost taught me, don't do anything good. Don't try to be the good person, because you could take the whooping for it. Because that is one of the worst feelings in the world. It makes you feel empty. Like there's no value in you when someone blames you or accuses you of things you have not done. But again, so many people in this day and age will admit to something they haven't done. And we have that in the world right now going on. You see it on the news all the time. Someone will say, so-and-so is this, and this. Based on what? Based on I'm telling you that that's what they are. And then all of a sudden someone else says, I agree with them. I think they're that. And that person themselves, they come up and they say, I'm none of those things. I'm none of those things. I've never done this and never said that. I'm not that. I'm not what they're saying I am. Oh, yes, you are. And then the next thing you know, that person is guilty. They're terrible. Now they lost their job. Now their whole life's disrupted and tore apart. Reporters love to do that to people. And then they get called on the carpet and they say, well, we just proved what you said about that person's wrong. And the reporter will go, well, I got no comment. Oh, you got a lot to say. That wasn't a mistake. You didn't mistakenly say that about somebody. You did it intentionally. And those are so-called mistakes that I don't forget and I don't forgive. If you intentionally set out to injure somebody. Don't ask me to forget and forgive. No, 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 no. Yeah, Kalani's saying, I did it, Sty. It's easier to blame me than to have it carry on. That's, and I've been so guilty of that over the years. I just won't do it anymore. I do jokingly tell people, hey, blame me. Blame me. If you can't figure out who to blame me. Well, you didn't do it. I don't care. Blame me. I make it clear to them I didn't do it, but I'll take the blame. Go ahead, blame me. I don't care. Because you're not going to hurt my feelings by blaming me anymore. You can blame me for anything you want. I don't care. I don't care. Because I know the truth. And that's important. I think everybody in their lives has come to that point where they have enough confidence in themselves to say, you say what you want about me. I know the truth. I know who I am. I know what I've done. I know what I've said. I don't need someone else accusing me of nothing. Yeah. A lot of people don't realize that accusing someone and pointing your finger at them can actually ruin their life to the point of no return. Absolutely. Absolutely. There's a lot of people out there that just aren't able to cope with that they actually become so dissatisfied in themselves that they feel that they brought the world against them and they don't know how to get out of it. And they just become introvert, close themselves off from others, and they basically give up. They give up on life. I think that is such a shame, such a shame. I'd rather have people come to me and tell me, oh, you wouldn't believe the mistake I made today. Oh, I did this, this, and this, and this. That's like this fella. I worked in high finance, and I had this fella that he was the top dog. He was the chairman of a fairly large Native American tribe. And he always dressed, always wearing a nice suit to the office every day. And him and I worked together constantly. And he made a mistake that I thought was to die for. I laughed so hard. But I don't think anybody laughed harder than he did. We're standing out front in this big, huge building at the front desk. The tribe is big enough. We had 4 receptionists out at the front desk. We're standing at the front desk talking business. And it was hot in the building. So he took his suit coat off and he had it over his arm and we're talking. And this gal walks up behind him, taps him on the shoulder. And he turns around and goes, oh, how can I help you? And she goes, I think I can help you. She goes, what's this? And she reaches down by his waistband, by his belt, and she pulls up. And it's the elastic waist of his underwear. But there ain't no underwear attached to it. It's just the waistband. He pulls it up. And he grabs it. He goes, what the heck? Well, his wife was the director of our big health clinic. She comes walking through the door, sees him holding that waistband. She walks over and she goes, what are you doing? And he goes, I think my underwear fell apart. She goes, there's no way. She goes, did you get those underwear out of that blue bin in the laundry room? He goes, well, yeah, it was full of socks and underwear. That's where I grabbed a pair of underwear this morning. She goes, those are all rags. They were going to get sent out to the garage for the boys when they're working on their cars and stuff as oil rags. She says, that old wore out pair of underwear of yours. She said, I tore the waistband half off of it so that you'd never wear them again. Throw them in that basket. He goes, I guess grabbing clothes out of the laundry room instead of out of my dresser drawer was my mistake. It was the best mistake I ever seen. Here you got a man that's making 6 figures a year, supposed to be all business-like, and he's got that old waistband. Had that whole office building laughing. Had the whole office building laughing. And he admitted it was his mistake. He says, I never grabbed clothes out of the laundry room. I just saw this big bin full of what looked like all clean clothes, and I grabbed a pair of underwear out of there and never even noticed that the waistband was half tore off. Yeah. Yeah. I still say, don't be afraid to admit your mistakes, and don't be afraid to forgive others. Because if we make mistakes, it's because we are real people. And they're going to happen. We're going to make mistakes. Well, there you go, guys. That's our show for today. I want to thank everybody for being here today. It's always a blast having you here. Now you watch the end credits and you'll see what the next topic is. It's kind of a conspiratorial thing, but we'll have fun with it. And that'll be for Monday's show at 5 p.m. Central Time, right back here at Sty Times. We'll see you then. You all take care. Have a very, very good weekend. Bye-bye.